here's Brody Brazil.
I can't believe I'm actually talking about the FBI here on this YouTube channel, but when the FBI came out with the results of their investigation surrounding sports betting and including the NBA a couple weeks ago, it was so complete, it was so comprehensive, it was so detailed, it looked like it had taken weeks and months and maybe even years to put together. You thought that may have been it. Like there was nothing else to think about or discuss, or there was nothing else on the front burner. Turns out the plot kind of thickens, and now the NBA is reportedly going to several of its teams and asking for documents and data and devices and phones and laptops. They're seeking more information because the U.S. federal government wants the NBA to do this. They want more answers. They're trying to put together the pieces of what exactly has been going on here with personnel of the NBA, of the association, and sports betting, either individuals or sports books. What is the information that's been passed along? What type of stuff has illegally been going on with this legal sports betting? Let me begin here again with reporting from The Athletic. They're all over this story. The Athletic is saying that 6 sources are telling them this information. Not just one person, not even 3 people, 6 different people are giving them this same information. That the NBA is now requesting documents and phones and other property to try and figure out what exactly the situation has been here. Is there more? Are we only at the tip of the iceberg here? Or did they get everything in terms of kind of cleaning up sports betting and some of the inside information that's being passed along from the basketball community to the sports betting community? 6 teams are involved, including the headliner, right? You're going to hear a lot about how the Lakers are involved. You're also going to hear about individuals and coaches surrounding LeBron James are involved. That's going to be the headlines. But again, I feel like it's more important to take a comprehensive look here of the amount of teams. 6 different teams are now being not named, but necessarily looked into just a little bit more. The Lakers, the Magic, and the Trailblazers included. The league, it seems like, and it's being reported as such, the league is being pressured by U.S. Congress to seek out more information. And I'm not here to tell you that the NBA would be done with this. They would wipe their hands of it if they thought everything was all done, but they are being pushed externally to try and get more information here, to figure this out, to be a responsible party in all of what's been going on. The allegations look like this. A Lakers coach informing bettors of player injuries in a February 2023 game against Milwaukee. Essentially, people on the inside of the Lakers organization passing on information to those who might bet and saying, hey, you might want to bet big because we know this is going to happen before the public does. And the same thing in a January 2024 game with the Lakers against Milwaukee. The Orlando Magic had a regularly starting player, so an actual player involved here, told a bettor that the team was about to tank a game, like not start any of its regulars and basically just go out and play the game, but also lose the game in an April 2023 contest. And then also allegations of illegal bets via information from a Trailblazers coach, right? We already understand the situation of what's going on there, but to name a coach as part of this, we've got coaches, we've got trainers, we've got players involved. We've got this from a number of different teams and angles, and it doesn't necessarily all seem entirely connected, but there are these individual circumstances which are a bit concerning. The NBA gave this statement to The Athletic saying, quote, "The NBA engaged an independent law firm to investigate the allegations in the indictment once it was made public. As is standard in these kinds of investigations, a number of different individuals and organizations were asked to preserve documents and records. Everyone has been fully cooperative." Now, that's good to hear that nobody's trying to cover anything up. Nobody's trying to hide anything. Now that everybody's aware that they're really going to this extent, maybe some people are deleting messages and wiping their phones and doing all of that, but this is how serious it's gotten. And again, I'm not sure that the NBA is the ones behind, hey, we need your phones, we need your computer, we need all these pieces of information. I do think it's the federal government pushing the NBA to acquire this, to do some introspection, to try and put these puzzle pieces together. We right now are either in one of 2 places or maybe a little bit of a combination of both. We are either at a tip of the iceberg situation where this next round of investigations and collecting information and phones and laptops and messages that were sent, it's going to lead to either a lot more information and a lot more allegations and a lot more indictments than we were ever aware of, or could this possibly be that the NBA is being asked, or they want to make sure that they've got everything, right? That they clean this up, that the indictments came out, that the allegations came out, and they want to make sure that there is nothing else that they're missing here so that they can make some new procedures. They can make some new guidelines and move forward, and this can be a problem of the past. You would sure think, right, that no matter what, they want this to go away and they want to do this the right way so that it doesn't come back. But I don't know if there's more to come or if they're being proactive here. Are they being reactive to the situation, or are they being proactive and trying to make sure that they got everything and nothing comes back to haunt them? It could be also a combination of both. We could get a little bit more information, but the NBA could also create some new boundaries and guidelines so that we don't have and continue to have this problem anymore. The NBA's role right now, the way I see it, is this. They can't necessarily change the past. They couldn't control the past. I'm not sure they had information or evidence of what every single individual was doing behind the scenes with these sports books and sports bettors and giving away information that is protected to bettors to try and win bets and sports results. I'm not saying the NBA was ever entirely aware of all that information. You can't change the past. But maybe the criticism is this: they may not have acted as quickly on things as they will now in the future moving forward. Like in the past, they might have said, all right, well, we hear these whispers and we hear these rumors, but we don't know much about it. We'll just look the other way for right now. I'm pretty sure that now they're going to be much more proactive about this problem than reactive as they were. Like they were kind of just dragging their feet on it. Now they're not going to do that anymore because the federal government is on their tail. They don't want to really deal right now with the bigger consequences. I know that. You know that. They're running a multi-billion-dollar business. This is the last thing they need. Some of their players and coaches and personnel giving out information so that other people can go win $5,000, $500,000, whatever. Again, multi-billion-dollar business. They don't want this problem. They don't want this mess. They don't need this mess. They're trying to navigate basketball as far away as possible. But they can. I do think they can think about this logically now and implement procedure and rule changes for things like player health. If it really does come down to, okay, we, the team, know that this player is not going to play tonight, but the public doesn't know that, so sports bets might be affected if, obviously, some people knew that. Maybe what they'll do is change their player and participation status just like football does it. You can list a player as, questionable, probable. Anybody that plays fantasy knows exactly all these designations, but they have to come forward. They have to be public with this information so that nobody has an advantage. Nobody betting has an advantage because all these cards are laid out on the table. Maybe basketball, and you know what? Maybe even other sports will follow suit with that. Let's get to some takeaways here, and I think the number one thing behind most of this is that it's not necessarily basketball seeming to force the issue here. Are they interested in this? Do they want to fix their problems? Do they want to distance themselves? Yes, they do. But it feels like this is the U.S. government that's really behind basketball seeking more information, collecting laptops, again, digging even deeper into seeing if there's more here to it. And I feel like the NBA is obviously on high alert. You'd have to think other sports leagues are too. We know baseball has had its share of issues and problems, and two players just recently have been indicted on similar charges. Actually, of similar but different. They were affecting the game, they say, allegedly. They were affecting the game by throwing a first pitch of an inning as a ball that people betted on with a micro bet instead of a strike or anything else. And so since then, Major League Baseball went to sports books and said, hey, we don't want to do this anymore. These micro bets have to be limited to $200 because we don't want anything serious on the line. We don't want any of these players being potentially motivated to fix these situations and bets. So again, the NBA, baseball, football, and hockey haven't really dealt with this to any extent. But every league must be on high alert to what's going on here, and they're watching this situation. We're either about to see like some serious measures taken here or some kind of measures, like nothing. It's impossible that nothing is going to come out of this. even if nothing else happens, and even if they do this second round and they collect some laptops and they look at phones and they look at documents and they look at data and text messages, and if they find nothing, even if they find nothing else, I still think we're about to see some serious measures taken to be, again, more proactive about all this instead of reactive. And the last point I want to make here is that legal gambling prominence has created all of this. Technology and the ability to do this on your phones, and legal sports betting now available in so many states across the country. And it's just a different world here in 2025 than it was in 1985. And it wasn't legal back then, and it was kind of harder to do, still happening. But now the fact that it's legal and there's so much more money into it and so much information and so much more technology, it's hard to keep all of this under wraps. But remember, when the Supreme Court opened this up for different states across the country to have legal sports betting, and leagues kind of also went along with this, we caused this. I don't want to say we. I wasn't part of the decision-making process. I probably would have said no, but human beings now involved in this were the ones who caused this. Nobody asked for this, but they opened up the door to this. So I'll be keeping an eye on this. The plot thickens. Maybe we find out more individuals have been involved than even previously thought. But all of this, a really bad thing for the NBA. They're on such a roll in so many ways. There's good things happening with basketball. This is kind of the last thing they need. They do not want to lose public trust and public confidence that every single one of their games is legit and nothing is being thrown or faked or fixed or anything like that. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments section below. Really curious to hear the feedback on this one. Also, thumbs up while you're down there. Helps me, this video, and this channel below. Also, if you're new here, great to meet you. Nice to talk with you. Make sure you come back next time. The best way to do it is to hit that subscribe button. I would love to see you for the next one.